Carlotte Bailey was elected to the Charleston County School Board in November to represent the constituents of District 5, North Charleston. I talked one-on-one with the Vice Chairwoman for this edition of Quintin's Close-Ups. And if you haven't already, subscribe to my YouTube channel and like Quintin's Close-Ups on Facebook. Carlotte Bailey, welcome to Quintin's Close-Ups.
How are you?
I'm doing just great. Yourself?
Yeah, I'm fine.
That's good to hear. I know that you were elected back in November as a member of the Charleston County School District for District 5. And now, thereafter, I should say, you were elected the Vice Chairman of the Charleston County School Board. Tell me this, Ms. Bailey, how is that going right now for you?
Well, it's a hectic job, but the Lord is making a way, and I know my purpose and the plans that God has for me in this position. So, I'm here for the children and the families of District 5.
And you say the children and the parents of District 5. So what exactly is that purpose that God has you there for?
Well, I am also a children's pastor and nursery and preschool coordinator here at our church. And my job is to watch over the children's hearts, their eyes, their ears, and their souls. And even in a secular job, parents entrust us to take care of their children while they're in our care, as well as educate them. So I believe my job is to watch over these children and to make sure that they get the best education possible and that we guard their eyes and their ears. Because whatsoever goes into your eyes and your ears, it goes into your heart and will manifest itself. So, we have to have the watch over our children.
And in these uncertain times, as you know, Ms. Bailey, what are you guarding the kids from as far as their soul, their mind, and body, as far as education?
Well, I'm guarding to make sure that they are not over-sexualized, they're not confused about who they are and whose they are, and to make sure that parental rights are not overstepped, because we have been entrusted with other people's children. And I know because I have 6 daughters that have come through Charleston County School District, and the same expectations that I had for their teachers, I expect out of the teachers that we educate other people's children. And, I have had nothing but good results, and the bad results that I've had with my own children, I've talked to teachers, I've talked to principals, and, we made things right. So, that's our job, is to protect these children and to make sure that they get a good education.
And I know, Ms. Bailey, you have 6 daughters of your own who went to the Charleston County School with this district system, as you said. Mm-hmm. So what is the biggest difference about the education of the Charleston County School District from then to now?
Well, the difference is that how would I put this? The moral values that are not being protected of families. And, we have a lot of teachers in Charleston County that are very good teachers. And the discipline in the classroom is not the same as it was before. Children respected teachers, they respected staff. And it seems...
Yes, ma'am. Oh, that's me. Oh. Uh-oh. Yeah, my apologies there, Ms. Bailey. That was my Wi-Fi issue there. My apologies. But I know that you basically said, and I noticed for a fact that, back in the day that many of the students obeyed the teachers and staff. So is that the same today?
In a sense, yes and no. Because we have some children that, they come from broken families, broken homes. They've suffered a lot of trauma and mental and emotional and psychological issues that are going on with them that we didn't have to deal with back in the day. And, as our children are growing and as the education fields are progressing, there's more expected out of children in this day and time. So I believe we need to go back to the basics and make sure that they get a strong foundation in preschool as well as in kindergarten so that we can help them along when they get into the upper grades. And it seems like we're just pushing kids through right now and not looking at the weaknesses that these children have and what they have to go through. So
So
Yeah.
what are those weaknesses in those kids, particularly in District 5?
Well, one of them is that, the resources and tools that in other districts that we don't have here in District 5, I think the playing field needs to be leveled. I think that all of these children deserve a good education, and especially for our children of color, because God doesn't see color. All children are the same. We don't teach just a black community or a white community or Hispanic. We teach to the nations. And all of these children need to be educated on the same playing field. They need the same resources and the same tools. They need to be expected to learn and not be said that you can't achieve because of the color of your skin, or you're less than because somebody else's skin color is lighter than yours. I don't think that should even play a factor in how our children learn, because all of our children are bright. All of our children can be successful. They have some hurdles that they have to get over, but it's nothing that they can't do if they have people behind them that believe in them.
Now, what are those hurdles right now in those schools, in your school district?
The hurdles are, discipline. That's the biggest thing. I have 8 schools in Charleston County that I'm responsible for, 6 elementary, 1 middle, and 1 high school.
Yes.
And it's like the teachers are stressed and they're overwhelmed because they're dealing with social and emotional issues that they're not certified or equipped to deal with. And that shouldn't be placed on them. They should be there to teach the curriculum that they're supposed to teach, whether it be math, English, science, social studies, and not have to be dealing with the social emotional problems of the children. That's not what they're there for. So, when we have specialists, people who have specialized in mental and emotional and psychological growth to help these children and help these families to get through whatever situations that they go through, I believe these kids will be successful.
So let me ask you this, Ms. Bailey, then. What's that curriculum that the teachers are not certified to teach in that they're actually teaching right now in District 5 schools?
Well, it's not so much the curriculum, it's the social, emotional, and psychological issues that the children have. We have children mainstream in the gen ed classrooms that need specific special needs, especially the special needs children. They have teachers that go to college for this, okay? And those teachers are certified to help those children. You're putting kids with special needs in classrooms with teachers that are not certified to help them. And it's overwhelming to these teachers. And these teachers are stressed and they're tired and they're fed up. And that's why they're leaving the teaching profession. It's not so much pay. It's the fact that they are being required to teach classrooms in unteachable circumstances and situations.
Well, let me ask a different way, Ms. Bailey. How many of those special ed students are actually being placed in non-special ed schools and classes in your district?
Well, where I used to teach,
yes, ma'am,
because I was a teacher's assistant, we could have 1 to 2, maybe 3 different special ed children in our classrooms, mainstream with approximately 20 to 25 or more other children. Now, our principals were good at spacing the kids out and making sure that we have adequate teachers and assistants to be able to teach in these classrooms. But when you have 2 or 3 or more children that have special needs that are in that classroom with 20-something odd other kids, it's hard. It's extremely hard to teach when a child is being disruptive in the classroom and the teacher's main focus is not on the class as a whole, but on the child with the special needs.
So overall in your district, Ms. Bailey, how many special needs students are there currently?
I don't have that number right now. I don't have that, but I am looking into that.
Okay.
With each school, especially the elementary school that I will be working with. And I made it my business because I ran on bathing every situation and every circumstance that comes before me in prayer. Now, I understand some people believe in separation of church and state, which is not in the Constitution. But if you're a person of faith and you pray, prayer changes things. And before I go into any one of these schools, I want to make sure that I pray and I take it before the Lord so that I can get the wisdom, the knowledge, and understanding to best help each one of these schools in this district.
Now, let me ask you this, Ms. Bailey, then. How many schools in your district have you visited since you've been elected to the board?
I've only visited one, and it's not in my district, it's in somebody else's district. But again, I have been making it a matter of fasting and prayer before I even enter these schools, because I want to make sure that the principals, the teachers, and the staff know that we're not coming in there to find fault or to look down on them. But when we go into these schools, we are there to help them and get them the resources and tools that they need to be successful.
Now, when you're praying to God, what are you asking him as far as guiding you into going to these upper schools in your district?
I'm asking that I will see the need and be able to meet the need. I'm asking that I see the heart of these principals and the heart of these teachers for these children that they are teaching, that they are educating. Because if you have a heart and a love for children, you will do the best that you can to make sure that they get what they need. So that's what I'm praying for, and that's what I'm hoping that these resources and tools that these teachers need, and that these schools need, especially with the support staff, because teachers don't do it all on their own. The support staff there is a big help, and they make a big difference in the schools. So if we have staff, we have the community, we have the family, and we have the students working together to get the job done, it will be successful, and it'll be a happy and joyous community and environment for all children.
Now, Ms. Bailey, let me ask you this. We're in February right now. So what is your timetable for visiting these upper schools in your district?
And my timetable is in March. I've already prayed about it, and I already sought the Lord's face about it. And I'm ending a time of fasting and prayer.
Yes.
And I'm going to start scheduling meetings with principals and their staff to go in and talk to them and to see where the needs are and what needs to be met.
Now, how many principals do you want to meet in total?
It's about 8. 8 of my own.
Right.
And I want to be able to go in and visit other schools to see what works in other districts. Because District 5 is not just a district all to itself.
Right.
But I know each district is unique in what they need and the children that they serve. Because we have a lot of children that are bilingual or have English as a second language. So I want to take into account that, yes, we have children of diverse backgrounds and cultures.
And I want to get to that in just a second. But what makes District 5 so unique right now?
What makes it so unique to me?
Yes, ma'am.
Is where I live, is where my children have grown up, and my children have attended various schools in District 5. So it means the world to me, because not only have my children attended those schools, I have taught children that have come from my school in District 4 that have spanned out into District 5. And one of our feeder schools from the school that I used to work at is Midland Park.
Yes.
Our feeder school is Pinehurst.
Yes.
And R.B. Stall in Northwood.
Right.
So though I have a direct link to those schools, because I know children that go to those schools, and those children and their parents, they know me. So I have built a relationship with them.
Oh, yes. So you know those kids and you know those teachers. So what exactly are those needs right now in District 5 schools?
Their need is the District 5 needs to bring up their reading scores, testing scores for reading and math, so that they are able to be proficient, especially in coming from the elementary school to the middle schools.
Yes, ma'am.
So that they're not lagging behind. And as the district has children reading on grade level by the year 2027, I believe,
right.
We have to do all that we can in our elementary schools to make sure that our children get the tools that they need to be successful readers. Because if you can't comprehend what you're reading, how are you going to be able to solve the different problems that come before you? And whatever subject that you have, if you don't comprehend what you're reading.
So let me ask you this. What percentage of students say at Stall High School scored a C or higher on the algebra, biology, or English gateway course assessments for the end of course for, say, 2017-2018 semester?
Right. I don't have that information right now, so I can look into it and find that information out for you.
And I know you talked earlier about getting those reading levels up. Were there any growth in the reading and MAP results from, say, 2021?
2021, well, as you know, a lot of our test scores went down because of the pandemic and because of the lack of seat time. You know, the technology, the lack of technology in different student homes caused a deficiency in their growth. So it's crunch time now to bring those reading and test scores up so that these children can be where they need to be.
So, Ms. Bailey, what is that deficient percentage right now in District 5?
Well, I have no idea right now, but I'm looking into that. I'm
Okay.
doing my research and my homework so that I can find that out.
No worries. So let me ask you, but then what is the reading and math proficiency that is, say, at Morningside Middle, for instance?
Well, I have no idea about Morningside Middle. Morningside Middle is a District 4 school.
But you taught there, right?
No, Midland Park Primary is it's a primary school
Yes, ma'am.
where we have early Head Start, CD, and kindergarten.
So in District 5, Ms. Bailey, what is the average years of experience for a teacher in District 5?
The average year of experience,
Yes, ma'am.
I believe, it's 15 or more years for most teachers, because we still have some teachers that have seniority or have been teaching for a long period of time. But I find that a lot of our older teachers are retiring because of the situations in the classroom that has become more stressful to teach because of lack of discipline.
So since 2022, for instance, how many of those senior teachers have actually retired from the Charleston County School District overall?
That I do not know right now. I have not. I just know about the school that I've been at, and we've had, like, I say, less than 10 that have retired.
Now, I want to ask you this later on in the interview, that is, Ms. Bailey. But let me ask you, what educational models do you hope the Charleston County School District will actually use in the future for underperforming schools?
What model? Say that again.
Yes, ma'am. Exactly right. Yes, model.
I didn't hear you.
Oh, no worries. Sorry about the delay with the noise in the background and Zoom technology. But what educational models do you hope that the Charleston County School District will actually use in the future for those underperforming schools?
Okay, what I hope to see is that we put tutoring, after school tutoring,
Yes,
into
ma'am.
place to help our children that are deficient in whatever subjects that they have, that the tutoring will come into place to help them catch up where they're deficient. And a lot of our students with funding, especially in our Title I schools, the money is there for them to have after school tutoring, because what they don't get in the classroom, they'll be able to go to after school programs in the evenings and catch up. And they have one-on-one with counselors that can help them to get to where they need to be.
So how many after school programs do you need right now in District 5?
In District 5, I'm not sure, but as I'm doing my research, I'm looking to see how many Kaleidoscope and how many Wings programs we have in each one of these schools. Because as I understand it, as I have seen, the Wings and Kaleidoscope programs after school, it helps parents out a lot, especially those that work past 5, 6 o'clock in the evening, to help the kids to get their homework done, help them to get the necessary reading done. They help to feed the kids so that they don't have to wait long periods of time before they get home. And it is a blessing for a lot of families in District 5.
So right now, Ms. Bailey, when you look at it overall, what subjects in District 5 that these students need really more help on when it comes to these after school programs and Kaleidoscopes and Wings for Kids?
Reading and math. Reading and math. The main focus is reading and math, because again, if you can't comprehend what you're reading, it's irrelevant what's on the page if you don't understand what it's saying.
Yes, ma'am.
And the math, and as well as with math, you know, some kids coming out of kindergarten, you know, if you don't understand what a number's meaning is, how are you going to be able to add subtract versus doing multiplication and division? And when these kids have this strong foundation of recognizing numbers and letters and sounds, they do well in upper elementary school. But we have some middle school kids that are struggling, and we have high school kids that are struggling. And they didn't get the basic foundations of what they needed in elementary school. So if we can hit it hard in elementary and get these kids to where they need to be, they will excel in middle and high school.
So where's the funding?
Where's the funding? The funding is in the budget. We need to make sure that we are spending all of the money that Charleston County School District is getting as cost effectively as possible, because people don't understand or realize Charleston County School District has $1 billion budget. And if we have $1 billion budget, then we need to make sure that this money is being spent in a cost-effective way to make sure that our children are educated properly.
How much funding do you need right now for those after-school programs?
Well, I have to do the research and find out how much these after-school programs cost, because they're...
Yes, ma'am.
Parents have to pay in addition
to be able to their children to. Now, I know that certain wings programs are free, and the Collide program, the parent has to pay a certain percentage. So, looking at the cost effectiveness of each one of these programs, we'll be able to see where we can implement them in each school or community that needs it.
So, when do you expect to sit down with the folks at Kaleidoscope of Wings for Kids?
Okay, well, we have to talk to the audit and finance people to see how much is in the budget to be able to allocate towards those fundings. Now, I also have to look and see where these programs are already instituted in some of these schools, because a lot of these schools, especially Title I schools, have after-school programs.
Yes, ma'am. So let me ask you this: what are the current budget restraints when it comes to the Charleston County School District's budget?
Budget restraints so far as making sure that there's money in the budget to spend on each individual program, and if everything, the tools and resources and the people, the staff, is able to be paid and taken care of. So, you know, I don't think of it as such a thing as a restraint. We just need to make sure that we have enough people and we have enough tools and resources to go around to each one of these schools.
So what are the current revenue trends for the Charleston County School District?
That I do not have. I don't have that right now.
So, okay, let me see. How do you decide, how do you all decide, as far as priorities, where the money goes and for what?
How do we decide?
Yes,
well, what I believe it should be decided by where is the need where the need is most needed.
Yes, ma'am.
And who we need to be able to affect in the proper manner. Does that make sense? You know, each and every school needs a kaleidoscope program or an after school program. But I believe that we should look at where is it most needed, which areas need it the most, which parents need the help the most, and which children are lacking in education to where they need it the most. It's not like a first come, first serve. Who needs these tools to be able to affect the growth in their education the most?
Where's that growth for these kids now?
Where's the growth?
Yes, ma'am.
So far as
yeah, where are they? You know, in the let's say for instance the other subjects besides reading and math. Where's that growth level for them right now?
Where's the growth level? Let me see. I would have to look and see where that is because
Yes, ma'am.
again, I'm new at this. I don't have all the answers right now,
Sure, ma'am.
but as I am trained and as information is given to us,
Yes,
I'll
ma'am.
be able to answer those questions. Because again, I've
Yes, ma'am.
only been here since November,
Yes.
but I know I've only been here since November,
Yes,
but
ma'am.
I know all of the questions that you have asked me that I can't answer, I will find the answers to them. And I know that, especially in social studies and science
Oh, yes.
and all of the other subjects, they rely heavily on our children being able to read. And if you can't read, it doesn't matter what subject you take because you won't be able to comprehend what is going on. And our children have to have a strong reading foundation for all of these subjects.
So, I hate to keep beating at this, Miss Bailey, but where is the foundation for this?
Whereas the foundation for reading begins in primary school. It begins in elementary school. If you can't get it in elementary school, how are you going to get it in middle school? How are you going to get it in high school? I've seen children passed along because of the retention rate. Okay, if your parent is your first advocate. If you see that your child is struggling and that your child is not understanding, instead of allowing the system to pass your child along, you need to say, hey, what can we do to help my child to better understand how to read? That makes sense because if they're struggling coming out of kindergarten and they're passed along to first grade, then how are they going to succeed in first grade or second grade? They're going to continue to struggle because they're going to be continually passed along. And our children shouldn't be passed along like that. They should have a strong educational foundation to help them to succeed. And we have the tools to do that. We have the money to do that in Charleston County. So there's no.
So, I hate to keep asking this question too, Miss Bailey, but where is the money going? Is it going more over to East Cooper, or is it going more to West Ashley versus your district?
Well, that's why we're here. And I can't point the fingers at any person, and I'm not going to do that. That's why we do research. That's why we look at the budget and we see where the money goes, so that we are able to help these children. So I can't point the finger and say it's going here or it's going there. I need to be able to do the research. We as a board need to be able to do the research and see where that money is going and make adjustments as we go along.
So you mentioned this a few seconds ago, but what is the retention rate right now for those students in District 5?
Well, we have to look at the numbers and we have to see because each school in District 5 is different. And I'm not going to lump all of these schools in one basket because the diversity of the children and the staff in these schools, it plays a difference in it.
Yes, ma'am. Let me ask you this, because there are reportedly 11 to 12 underperforming schools in your district, reportedly, with the Meeting Street schools model. So let me ask you this, Ms. Bailey. What is the Moms for Liberty approach to changing that model to actually turn around those schools in your district?
Okay, there's more parent involvement. Parents need to be involved in their children's education. They need to know what their children is learning and who's teaching them. Okay, and when you get a better understanding of who's teaching your child and what they're learning on a day-to-day basis, because I know with my children, when they came home from school, hey, what did you learn today? Okay, let me see what you have for homework. What's going on with your class? I mean, in the overall setting, atmosphere of your class. And parents need to know that. And if there's something in that classroom setting that is disturbing their child or not sitting right with their child that's hindering them, then they should be able to go into the schools, talk to the principal, talk to the teacher, talk to the guidance counselor or the parent advocate to make sure that, hey, what can be done to help my child to learn what they need to learn effectively.
Now, let's say hypothetically, if that doesn't work, Ms. Bailey, do you have a plan to put those schools back under the Charleston County School District's control?
Well, for one, we need to be able to work together as teachers, families, staff, as well as the district. And we come together and put aside our differences to see where we can help one another. There shouldn't be a problem with a parent going into the school and asking these questions. There shouldn't be a problem for a parent to get satisfaction on how their child is being educated because, again, parents and the children are the stakeholders. We are here to serve them. We are here to make sure that they get what they need to be successful adults. And I don't understand how we can't do that if we all work together.
So when it comes to those underperforming schools in your district with the Meeting Street schools model, what are the differences?
Okay, what is the differences? Well, I believe the difference is parent involvement. Okay, if you have a community of parents in whatever area your school is in, the parents' voices are being heard. The parents' voices are being, how would you say it, respected.
Right.
And they are working with the schools and the teachers to get things done. I believe that's a good education environment. But if the schools are working against the parents and the parents are working against the schools and there's nothing but negativity there, then you're not going to have performing schools. You're going to have a bunch of negativity and everybody fighting and warring against one another. And we need to come together, and it takes a village to educate these children. And families, the school, and the community is that village. And I believe if we work together, we can get that job done.
Now, I hate to put a timetable on this, but how long do you expect this to happen before you all move on to these other options?
Well, it takes time. Rome wasn't built in a day. But I believe if families are willing, the school district is willing, the community is willing to work together, then it can get done. And it shouldn't be a timetable because, nothing's going to change within a month or two. I mean, it may be 6 months, it may be a year, or maybe two. Only the good Lord knows that. But I believe if we start now and we will start working together to make things better and cooperate with one another, I believe we can get that job done.
And speaking of our good Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, let me take you to a very controversial subject, as you know. The Charleston County School Board is considering letting Charleston County School Board members pray publicly at their meetings. But let me ask you this, Vice Chair. Why not focus on education?
Well, the first thing is we have policies and procedures that have not been amended, edited, or looked at since 1964, 1978, and this is the year 2023. Okay, and then when you look at these policies, okay, my question was, why was the only name that was prohibited to be said was the name of Jesus Christ? And that right there is discrimination against Christians. So with that being said, the board wanted our board members, not someone outside of the school board, but the prayer was to be a board member led prayer. But if anyone on the board wanted to get up and say, hey, can I pray? Then the board member would do that. And it would be directed towards the board, not anybody else in the room, just specifically the board. And if anyone took offense to that, they was more than likely able to walk out of the room. And if it's a recording, you can fast forward it. I don't understand why our First Amendment right should be inhibited because somebody else would take offense to what we had to say. And we are focusing on education because who is the educator of all? Who gives wisdom, knowledge, and understanding to all? The Lord Most High. Okay, and if we can't pray and ask Him for wisdom, knowledge, and understanding on how to govern Charleston County School District or to govern our own selves, then who can we ask?
But then I want to go back to the old days, Ms. Bailey. Whatever happened to the separation of church and state?
Where you tell me, Quintin, where does it say separation of church and state in the Constitution?
Whatever happened to that?
But where does it say that in the Constitution?
Well, let me say, it is against the establishing clause of the First Amendment, which protects the citizens from governmental establishment of an official religion. So, since public schools are governmental institutions, doesn't this school-led prayer violate this principle?
How does it violate if the prayer that needs to be, or the prayer that wants to be said, is directed towards the board member and not the community? How is that interfering with anybody else's First Amendment right if it's a board directed prayer and it's not directed into anybody in the audience or anybody else? How is that?
Well, if you want to eliminate the controversy altogether, Vice Chair, why not pray before the meetings?
Well, it is before the meetings. It's right after the Pledge of the Allegiance. It's a board-led prayer directed towards the board.
Why risk an expensive and time-consuming lawsuit?
If what we want to do is in the confines of the law, then why cannot the board pray over whatever it is that we need to do, wisdom, knowledge, and understanding from the Lord? That's my thing. How is it that, the other chair that was there, Reverend Mack, he prayed before the meeting and there was nothing said. So why is this a big issue now?
How do you all come together and rectify this?
We rectify this by putting it to the vote and majority rules. Because what we want to do does not go.
Oh, yes.
Right. It's with a
right to be able to do that.
One last question in 20 seconds. I only have 20 seconds, but let me ask you this, Billy. Going back to obviously your time as a candidate campaigning for this seat, I know that you were obviously endorsed by the Charleston County Republican Party and Moms for Liberty, but yet this Charleston County School Board is a nonpartisan board. So was it a mistake for you to accept those endorsements?
I couldn't hear you.
Oh, no worries. Yeah, I know that you were endorsed by Moms for Liberty and the Charleston County Republican Party during the election. Was it a mistake to get those endorsements for a nonpartisan seat? In 20 seconds.
Well, how would it be a mistake? I believe.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am. I can hear you. Yeah, in 20 seconds. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I believe that whether you're Democrat or Republican or anybody, if you have the well-being of all of these children in the community at heart, you will work with whoever you need to work with